Good morning, YouTube. This is Chuck Reynolds. I want to thank you for stopping by and watching my video. And today is one of the few days that I actually know what we're going to do. You might have watched my last one, and we kind of knew what we were going to do that day also, but this is a little different. Uh, so if you want to stand by and wait for just a minute, I'll get started with the video. Thank you so much for stopping by. Okay, guys, so this is what we're going to be doing. If you look here, these are small power supplies that I've come across and the associated wire with it. And they're actually pretty good. You got the brass on the power end for the 120 volt, and you've got the cord coming out the other end that is copper wire on all of these. And what I'm looking for here is what voltage is on the secondary side, which these are low voltage power supplies. So that's what I was looking for. Is it a 3.5 or a 6 volt? And what I'm showing you here is why I do this. This coffee can is just full of small brass that I've taken out of power supplies and just little things. Most of those things that I'm showing here, like that one I just picked up, are from the inside of a power supply or a female receptacle or a male receptacle. So you have the blades on the plug, and you got the interior of a female plug for all that brass, and it's really good brass. I've melted much of it before, and I've got a lot left over here. Be back. Okay, guys, what I'm showing here is some of the tools I'm using, but what I'm showing is this piece of brass with a silver contact on it. And this is one of the good things about doing the small stuff. You're going to pull silver too. And this is, I believe, a double-sided contact. So I got silver on that side and silver on the other side. So we'll take and cut that off and put that in the silver bottle, and put the brass in the brass bottle, and we'll be done. And I think I might show you that here. And you can see right there where my thumb is, that's brass from the blades. Now I'm taking dikes and I'm going to attempt to cut that off. I don't remember if this was successful or not. Sometimes you got to do it 2 or 3 times, then use pliers to bend it to get it to break. And this is like the 3rd time and it didn't go yet, so that's 2 hands on a pair of side cutters. Okay, I'm grabbing the pliers. There we go. Now we'll break it. Okay, guys, so now I've changed my cutters. These are cutters that I used to cut large copper cables with, and you can see the contacts came off. I got them in my hand, and they're going to go in the jar now. So that's a nice piece of silver, and I end up getting quite a few of those during this whole video. And the brass stays with that until we separate it with acid. Okay, guys, now you're looking at the medicine bottle I've got there, and it's full of contacts that I've cut over the past few months, years. I don't know how long it's been, but there's a whole handful of them there, and the jar isn't even half empty yet. So you can see the contacts and the brass that's associated with them. And these are all electrical contacts that or off of small contactors or electrical contacts of some sort out of a switch or whatever. Now what I'm showing you is a Kleenex box. No, ignore that Kleenex box. What's inside here is what you're after. And hopefully I show it because I got the box in the way and you can't see anything. And what these are is plugs for a lot of audio stuff. I have a lot of audio equipment, and if you look at it where my finger is there, that's brass. All of these have brass ends on them. That's why I got them in that box, saving them. And We'll eventually get to them, and I'll show you later. I'm not going to get to them in this video, but I'll show you later how I do those and how I get the brass out of them and separate them from all the plastic ends and all that on them. And it's well worth the effort. It's a little time consuming if you try to just cut it apart like that. But this silver here is worth it, and so is the brass. They're good metals, all of them, and we just keep after it here, and we'll keep showing you stuff. And there's how much of it I got. There's even some computer cable ends in there also. So anyhow, we're going to keep going after this stuff, and we'll be back. Okay, guys, after all the jibber jabber, we're about ready to get started here. I'm showing the cable. This is just a regular cord with a male end and a female end on it. And typically what I do is I cut the ends off both ends, which I'm doing here. That's the female end. That's the male end. Those are just pair side cutters, nothing special. And the female end is hard to get the brass out, but we end up getting it anyhow. And we'll take that cord and just coil it up and put it in the insulated wire bucket, because it's all copper wire inside of that, and we'll actually get paid for it. So you're going to gain the copper in the wire without stripping it, not at the same price, but you're going to gain that. And you have the brass from the male plug and the female plug. Now the female plug's a little bit of work, but I'll show you the easy way that I do it. And now I'm coiling that cable just before, and I try to do that so I save a little room in the bucket, and it's not like spaghetti in there and it goes everywhere when you try to take something out of there. So anyhow, we'll throw that in the bucket after I'm done coiling it, and then we'll get back to the plug-in, the the male. I'll start with the male because the male is the easiest to get done, and you've probably seen me do it multiple times. And I'll get to it here just shortly after I throw this in a bucket, if I ever get it out of my hand. I'm trying, honest. I'm trying to get rid of this wire. Okay, I think I'm going to get rid of it now. There it goes. Now it's on its way. Be back. Okay, guys, you've probably seen me do this 100 times, but this is the male plug, and this is the right way to put it in the vise so you can get your brass out, and you go against the jaws. You can see me pulling here, and I'm going into the jaw instead of going with the slot in the vise between the jaws. So now I've got the one piece of brass out and the copper. The ground just usually breaks off, and it does here. And now with this one, I'm going to go to the other side and twist it into the jaw again, so it stays solid in there, and you get a nice clean break without the thing running around in the vise. So that's what I'm saying here, and now you'll see me do that, and we'll pull him out, and we got a little piece of copper and the brass, and the key word there was a little piece of copper. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, guys, so now we're going to do the female. That's what you're seeing here. That's one of my anvils, and my I don't think that's a 1.5 pound ball peen, and I put it on the anvil and just beat the living daylights out of it is what I do, and it works. You can see it split there, and when it splits, then you can peel that plastic off, or rubber, whichever one it is, and it will expose the brass. And now that I'm almost back to the bench, you can see on top of the the can there, that's the brass I got out of the male plug. And I don't know why I'm lingering here on that, but I am. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop this and say I'll be back in just a second. Okay, guys, so there's the female end I've got in my hand there, and I'm taking the plastic off of it. Um, Sometimes you got to do additional cuts with something, or I'm using needle nose here to peel it a little bit. Um, do anything you can just to pull that piece of brass out of there, and it's not a bad piece of brass. It's little. That's why this is title of this video is about little brass. And there, I almost got it. Almost. Now you'll spend a lot more time on this female plug than you would on the male. It's just a lot harder to get the brass out. And it, actually here it looks like copper rather than brass, which would be unusual if that is, because typically they're not copper. But in this female, and being plastic and probably made in China, I don't know. It can be anything. But it should be either brass or copper. You can see the pieces going there. There's three there, and that was the part of the ground that looks like it's round. And don't know that it's worth any more fussing around with it. I mean, you're only going to get so much out of it to begin with, and time is money, and it really applies here. So I'll dig at it for a little bit more and see if I can get a little bit more out of this, and then it'll go to trash. So we're almost there. And that. Okay, guys, you can see I still got it in my hand here, and I'm trying to get the rest of that out of there. And I'm just peeling the plastic. And it's I've spent way too much time on this. I should not have done this here, but just wanted to let you see how difficult it is to get the metal out of the female end. It's just incredible. But that's it. We got it out, and we'll stop right there and be back. Okay, guys, so we're finally going to get to these little power supplies, and they're not tricky or hard or anything. They're not even time consuming. I've got some little tricks that I do here that make them really easy. I wish I was showing it a little bit better because you can't see me, but first thing I'll do, I believe, is cut the wire off. That'll be coiled up and put in the wire bucket. I'll probably coil it right here, and I do. You can't see me, but I'm actually rolling that wire up. Isn't that special? You get to watch the table the whole time. Wow. Be back. Okay, guys, so this is how you get the power supply apart. I'm taking this from a good YouTube friend of mine, Scrap It All. This is how he does it, only he puts a towel over top of his and he's on a steel plate. I'm using a rag over top of it on an anvil, and you just beat the living daylights out of it and bust that. That keeps the plastic from flying all over the shop like shrapnel. Just keep pounding on it until you can feel it go. You can feel it in your hand. And when you pull the rag off, this is what you see. It broke. But you can't see it there, can you? Because whoever's holding that power supply isn't showing you. Because it's out of the frame. So we're going to have to do something about that in future videos. Okay, guys, this is what was inside that little power supply. You can see the copper wire. It's insulated. I just leave the ends on it there. And this nice little transformer. It's not very big, but it's you're going to have steel and copper out of it, primary and secondary. And this is the part of the plastic cover with the male prongs in it. Most of these you can just pull out with the needle nose or a pair of pliers. What I'm doing here is I'm cutting the end of the wires off where they're soldered, because that's dirty brass, and we'll start a pile of dirty brass so that we don't get downgraded on our brass when we do sell it. And as you can see, that one blade come right out, And I don't remember this one if it comes right out or not. If it doesn't, we'll get it out anyhow. I'm not in frame again, am I? There we go. So we got both of those. Plastic's junk. They'll have the two ends that are soldered as dirty brass. We have steel and copper and the transformer and insulated copper wire. So that was a really good power supply. That was a good one to work on. It broke really clean and in two pieces. All right, guys, we did one and we're successful, so let's do another one. Now this one's similar. It has a DC plug on the end of it, which we'll be removing and using. And I don't know if I've ground this one yet, but I usually grind the chrome off them to make sure they're brass. Yeah, I did. You can see the brass right there where my finger is. That's the brass shining through. So that plug has a little bit of brass in it also. We'll take the cord, do the wind up thing, and we'll put that in the wire bucket. And we'll put the brass little plug over by himself. And put the scrap over by the scrap, and we'll pull the pins on the actual power supply itself. And it's real simple. You just got to keep in mind what you're doing and just get it all done. I spent too much time winding wire here, which I shouldn't do because I am wasting time. But, you know, it has to be done too, so anyhow, I'm doing it now. Unfortunately, I'm doing it on camera and not necessary for you to watch me do it. But now I'm doing a voiceover, so it makes things a lot harder. So, okay, be back. Okay, guys, what I'm pointing out here, if you look and see the little black specks, that's where I've done these before. And that's particles that have shot around the shop, and there's pieces of plastic just everywhere on my floor. And believe it or not, I sweep that every day. So anyhow, it's why I'm using the rag now, like Scrap It All does with the towel, and it makes a huge difference. I get a little bit of blowback, but it's right there where I'm at, so not a problem. Okay, guys, so what we're going to do now, I've been talking about what we're going to do with this and what the rag does. So we're going to beat on this thing a little bit, and all the pieces stay right there under that rag. It's a really simple way to keep from getting stuff splattering everywhere, maybe breaking a window or blowing back and catching it in the face or something. And you see how that one came apart? Very easy. I believe that's the transformer and the circuit board. I think this is one of the ones that have a circuit board in it anyhow. And it all come out good. Looks like a winner to me. Okay, guys, here I'm showing how nice this one came apart. You can see the transformer and the low-grade circuit board. You saw it there for a second. And you can see the prongs for the 120 volt in the one piece of plastic. And those you can usually drive out with a hammer if they're tight like that one, or just clip that with the side cutters right in line with the prong, and then they'll come right out also. But this came apart really nice. Now, this is the low-grade board, and some people will save those capacitors and the little pieces of wire and that. You can do that if you want to, but for me, it's not worth the effort. There's the low-grade board, you can't even sell those anywhere, I don't think. They just scrap them. But I cut them like this to get the transformers apart from it, and that went in trash. And again, I can't see what I'm doing here, so I can't really tell you what I'm doing. It might be a good place to cut this, I guess, right here. Anyhow, this is just filming air. Oh, I'm getting the the dirty brass. That's what I'm doing. I'm cutting the ends off the brass, and that helps it also come out if you're just going to push them out or pull them out with pliers on those prongs on the male plug. And it it works good to get that little bit of brass. But those prongs are really good. You saw how many were in that can that I showed earlier, and this is just carrying on, and you don't need any more of this. Be back. Okay, guys, I'm showing here the power supply transformers, and the last one I just did right there, I just pushed up there. The transformers are okay, and these are the brass cord ends and the cord that was left over from the last one. And that'll be it for this one. Be back. Hi guys, so this is the last transformer, last power supply I did. You see a transformer there and the wire beside it and the connector, and there's the scrap. So this one is again one of the bigger square ones with the card in it, and the card goes to junk, and I got more dirty brass and some wire. Be back. Okay guys, this is one of the smaller power supplies. You can see I've got it apart same way on the anvil. I got the guts out of it. There's the circuit board, the low grade that's scrap to me. I don't ever mess with those. Don't save the capacitors. People say there's silver in them, but there isn't. That little connector there that's steel on the end. That's I think that's called a C connector. That little bitty transformer, don't waste your time on it. The bigger one there, those both came out of there. The bigger one's iffy, and the little one is a no-go. To me, it's a throwaway, so I don't ever do those, and I don't think you should either. Be back. Okay, guys, so this is kind of a recap of what we've done. Now, this is the last one that I did. There was no more on the table, so they're all gone. This is the low grade again of the last one, and there's nothing there of any real value. The capacitor, like I said before, they're just capacitors, and I don't mess with them. Now these USBs and the C's, they're steel and they're magnetic, and I don't save them either. They go, like you could save them, but they're being steel. You're going to get 4.5 cents a pound, and it takes a lot of them to make a pound. And you can see here I'm showing that they're all magnetic, so they're all steel. These big ones are amazing. They're brass. They're really good. You take them apart on the anvil the same way, smash the rubber end. And I can't remember how many of those there is. There are 3 or 4 of them. And they're really good. The other little ones, they're still brass. You hit them the same way. The transformers are pretty good. The dirty brass, there's just a little bit of that in that pile, so that's not much. But that little transformer I wouldn't waste my time with either. Any of the little ones. It takes too much time to get that really fine wire out of there. And it's only number 2 at best, sometimes number 3. Anyhow. Okay guys, what I'm showing you here is the wire that we got from the insulated wire from the power supplies. All those little coils there, those are all copper. And again, you don't get a lot for it. The last one was 95 cents a pound, but we'll take it. Along with the bigger cords there, the couple bigger ones, we'll take that also. We'll take anything we can get. And it all comes off in a pile, but you got to separate it from the power supply itself. And it's a little work, but it's well worth it. Anyhow, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, come back again, give it a great comment. And thank you so much for watching. You stay safe out there, stay blessed, and every once in a while give God a little prayer. It really helps you get where you want to be.